A massive round of applause for Harry.
Thank you. Every candle has a silver lining. Well, there's a phrase which I've always lived by. You don't get what you want out of life, you get what you expect. And, I mean, anybody will know me, I'm kind of fascinated in the psychology side of things. I'm more of a scientific person. And, you know, has anybody heard of this, like the law of attraction?
Yes.
Yeah? Now, no matter what your relationship or opinion of the law of attraction is, actually there is a bearing on it. And this is probably a subject which has been very personal to me throughout my whole life. And it's, I mean, has anybody in this room had some crap in their lives?
Yeah.
Yeah? I'm not by myself then. And there's two things we can do in any given situation. We can either react in the situation, so let's break that down. So you react. In essence, what you're doing is you're reacting out previous behaviour. So if you just snap and do something out of a reaction, what you're doing is you're not being fully conscious with what you're doing, how you feel. It's just an automatic response pattern. And I know you've kind of heard me talk about these things before, but being conscious about what we're doing, how we're feeling, and what we're thinking on a moment-by-moment basis is the single most important thing we can do in our lives. Because it shapes your reality. It shapes, you know, people talk about consciousness. And you probably heard me banter this statistic about before that 95% of what we do every day is completely subconscious. It is an automatic response pattern that's going on in the background. So, this just doesn't relate to business, it relates to any area of your life. And if you, in a situation, react badly to somebody, what you're doing actually, the chances are it's not them which is the issue. It is a past experience which was similar to this situation. Maybe the person had a mannerism like an old boyfriend or an old girlfriend that hurt you or upset you or annoyed you. Or you've got an employer who did a certain thing which triggered an old response from another situation where you felt hard done by, or an unfair situation because of lack of communication, things like that. We've all been in those situations. But when you react, you're not thinking about it clearly. And then that shapes what your perception is of what the result you're going to get from that situation. So I'll go back. You don't get what you want out of life, you get what you expect. And the expectation is embedded in our past experience. So when we're able to be more conscious about our feelings, and instead of react, we respond. So I did some training with Jack Canfield, which Lynn and I did, and it was a year-long trainer course, and it was all about delving into the subconscious mind, about patterns and things like that. And being able to respond, I mean, when you look at the word responsible, it is being able to respond. And it is being mindful of that reaction inside, that initial emotional feeling about the situation, and then just taking a step back. And I think one of my little story that I like to tell, and this is kind of it personifies sometimes how we operate in life. And this guy that goes to the doctor, and he says to the doctor, he says, I've got this problem, I just can't sleep at the moment, I keep getting this reoccurring dream, alright? And it stresses me out, and I wake up, and I'm in sweats and everything. And the doctor's right, well, tell me more. He says, well, what it is I'm in this corridor, right, and I'm running, I'm just going as fast as I can. There's something behind me, I don't know what it is, but I've got to get away from it. That's all I know, is I've got to get away from this thing, and I'm running as fast as I can. I get to this door, right, and I look at this door, and I'm bashing away, and I'm kicking it, and bashing it, and I just can't seem to get through this door, and I know I need to get through this door, and I just can't get through this door, and I'm really panicking, and then I wake up in this cold sweat, and I just can't go. And I'm doing that every night, it's repeating and repeating and repeating. So the doctor just thinks for a second, he says, tell you what, right, next time you have this dream, so what I want you to do, just before you go to sleep, right, just sit on the side of your bed, and just picture that moment at that door. right? And I want you to picture that moment, you're panicking, everything like that. But what I want you to do is stop, right? Tell yourself, stop, right? And just take a step back. It comes in a really strange thought. Okay, I'll have a go. Not sure what you think it's going to be, but I'll have a go. So anyway, that night, sat down in bed and gets into bed and goes, oh yeah, must remember. Right, so he sits up, pictures it, he visualises it, step back, right, okay, yeah, I can do that. I went to sleep. So lo and behold, the same dream happens again. He's running down this corridor and he gets to the door, he's bashing away, and he goes, stop. Take a step back. And he looks. And it says pull. So how many times in life are we just bullying a china shop, hitting it, pushing as hard as we can? And sometimes we're not getting the results that we want. Now, just play on for a second, right? You're pushing back, aren't you? Did I actually push?
No. Automatic.
Automatic. And that's what life's like. If you push, life pushes you back. But life gives you feedback all the time. And sometimes we're not conscious of the feedback that life is giving us. Why? Because we're pushing. There's that aggression. And how many times in life do we actually attack the source of feedback? Yeah? And how many times in life do we get people saying to you, you're always doing this, and you're always doing that. You're like, oh, sod off, you're always moaning at me. All you do is bloody moan, I'm fed up of you moaning. You don't listen to actually what they're moaning about. Actually what they're moaning about is they're trying to communicate with you and say, look, there is something that you're doing that's annoying, that's frustrating, that's irritating, that's upsetting me. But often we just hear that as a personal attack at ourselves. We're not conscious in that situation, we're not looking what we're getting from that situation. It's our expectation. Our expectation is shaped from past experiences, and if past experiences has been people having a go at us and us feeling undermined by it, then automatically in future situations that's how you feel. You know, the crazy thing is your mind just wants to play out certain things. You know, the classic is just, you know, you've probably done this before, but just put your hands together. Yeah? So which thumb's on top?
Right.
Yeah? Some left, some right, things like that. Yeah? So put your hands apart again. Jazz hands. Whee! Yeah, put them together. Which one's on top?
Right.
Now, unless you've made a conscious decision just to outsmart me, go, I'm going to put it the other way. Yeah? Then the chances are you did exactly the same thing as you did a moment ago. And the reason is evolution has taught us that it takes effort and takes energy to make a decision. So what we do is we just create protocols within us to just do the same thing every time. So when you get up, you put your trousers on, you put the same leg in every time. When you put your coat on, you put the same arm in every time. Fold your arms. Yeah? Right, now fold your arms the other way. Yeah, so some people are like this, some people are more accomplished. Yeah? But it feels strange, doesn't it? Yeah? So it's like, get your hands down, put your hands the other way. So you're not doing it normal, you put it... No. So if your left thumb was on top before, move all your other fingers up, so your right thumb's on top, or vice versa. So does it feel weird?
Yeah.
Yeah? So with life, sometimes we've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We've got to get out of our comfort zones and do things that we've never done before. And sometimes crap things happen. Sometimes we'll make a decision and think, this is what I'm going to do, this is it, I've got it, I've really figured it out. And you go ahead and do it, and then all of a sudden everything comes crashing down. It costs you money, it causes you stress, you lose a friend, you lose this, you lose that, you lose something. But the one thing, and as I say, this has been very dear to me all my life, is Sometimes you've got to give up the good to get the great. Sometimes we hang on to things that are desperate to leave our lives because it's what we knew. Not actually what we want, it's just what we knew, and we felt comfortable there. And that's the thing, we get into these little comfortable routines, and our body and our minds are all about survival, not super thriving, not getting ahead in life, but just surviving till the next day. And life is about perspective. The only one thing we have in life is perspective. There was a fantastic, quite a few of you are probably old enough to remember this advert. There was an advert on telly which I thought was amazing, right? Going back from when I was quite young, and there was this guy, he had a big Mohican, right? Chains and everything like that, looked like, basically a punk, right? Punk rocker. And he's walking down the street, and this little old lady walks out of the post office, and she's there counting her money, yeah? She's got a pension. And this punk sees her and starts running at her, right? You think, oh my God, he's going to mug the old lady. And then he takes another shot, and the punk's running towards her, the old lady's here, and behind him is a police officer. The police officer goes like this and starts running after the punk. And you think, oh God, the police officer's going to get him. Yeah? Then it cuts to another angle, and he grabs the old lady, and a piano falls on the floor, and he saves her life. And it's there, all about perception. We make assumptions of what's happening based on our fears and our emotions. And we have a tendency to always think the worst. But the challenge is that your mind works, and you've probably heard me say this before, on confirmation bias. So if you've got a tendency to think the worst, what you're training your mind to do is expect the worst. And if minds work on confirmation bias, then what your mind will be doing is seeking into your environment, looking for all the information that proves you right. And the thing is you don't want to be proved right, do you? Because you don't want the worst to happen. And all through my life, I set up my first business when I was 21. And I knew bugger all about business. I was just enthusiastic. And this business, I started with a business partner. Everything was going well. Within 3 months, we were doing £20,000 profit a month. I was earning, this was 44 now, I think. You get denied when you get to past 40s, don't you? Maybe. Well, I do anyway. It's just one thing I say, it's just a number. Biologically, we're all 7 years old. Every cell in our body is replaced every 7 years. So I'll take that. And the business partner I chose to work with ended up shafting me. And we had a great business. And it was very painful when you lose things. But do you know what? If you ask any entrepreneur, any successful entrepreneur, right, the most successful entrepreneurs have had the most failures in life. They often fail the way to success. And the reason is you ask them and they got some of their most powerful insights and learning lessons from their worst mistakes and darkest hours. Why? Because emotion embeds things into us more. But the difference between the people that are hyper successful and the people that give up and fail, right? If I say what I said, give up and fail. Well, actually, it's give up. There is no failure. There's no such thing as failure in life. People give up before they succeed. And it's all about that perception. The entrepreneur that has a failure, which I took that as my business partner shafting me, everything like that. I lost a lot of money at the time. I was like, fantastic. I've learned a massive lesson. Now I can go forward and use that knowledge to actually grow something bigger and better. But I feel like sometimes that, anybody seen Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail? Yeah? Right. And he goes, when I came to this swamp, there was no castle, and I built this massive castle, and it sunk down and fell into the swamp. So what I did is I built another castle, even bigger and stronger. That fell down, burnt down, and then fell into the swamp. But not deterred, I built another castle, even bigger and stronger than the next one. And that one burned down, fell over, and sank into the swamp. But this castle, and he's sat in a castle, and it's there, it's not sank into the swamp. And this is where you've got to look at failure in life. When something comes along and it crumbles in front of you, what it's doing is it's creating the foundations for your future. Because we need strong foundations. That is what life is built on. But if your kind of propensity is to think, oh, that was too hard, I can't do that again, I've had enough, I'm fed up with building. And I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. You know, I've had 3 major losses in my whole life where I've lost literally everything I've ever worked for. My relationship, my house, all my money. Well, I've actually lost more because I've ended up in a worse position than actually people that are broke with nothing. Because I've ended up with minus something, minus 100 odd somethings at times. And that's because I like to take risks. But you don't get anywhere in life without taking those risks. But what you've got to look at is the result and the consequence of those risks. And if you always see whatever happens is a growing experience, your mind, what you're telling your mind is to look for that growing experience, confirmation bias. So you can either focus on the doom and the gloom and the stress and the pressure, the bit that made me made my hair thin in about 6 months. I actually thought at one point I had brain cancer. I always related to being very intelligent. A lot of people say to me when I'm doing philosophy, how do you know all this stuff? And I'm a bit of a geek all my life. But it was actually only 3 years ago I went through a stage where I genuinely thought I had a brain cancer of some sort. I was scared to death. I almost committed suicide. And the only thing that kept me from committing suicide is I thought I couldn't do this to my son. And it was my son that kept me alive. Because it was like I couldn't think anymore. My brain had stopped working. And this is what I now understand as cognitive shock. And it's because all at one point, the business I built up to that point, and I thought I was a positive person. And the business that I built in the last 9 months, you know, I built to doing 200,000 sales a week. I was making 40 grand profit a week. I had 24 staff. I had £13 million worth of pipeline business, £500,000 contract, £180,000 profit in it. I thought I made it. I thought this was it. I finally cracked it. And then the government changed all the renewable energy policies. And literally overnight it became illegal for me to sell. I had 48,000 a month overheads, and actually it was illegal for me to go out and sell and trade. And my whole life fell down. Now I could have been like, oh, the government, there was a few bit of that, but you've got to accept full responsibility for your own actions. And this is where the blaming and complaining is a big part of it. Because when we blame other things and we complain that other things cause this and cause that in our lives, really what you're doing is you're handing away your power. You're saying, look, my situation is not my responsibility. I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't me. I'm the victim. And if you're being the victim in any situation, well, what are you going to do if your mind works on confirmation bias? This is straightforward applied psychology. There's no mysticism, hoo-ha, and magical stuff that you see with the law of attraction. It's a very simple process of psychology. Your mind wants to prove to you what you believe. So what you believe is the single most important thing. And if you believe without wavering that everything that comes into your life is here for your betterment and your elevation, then everything that comes into your life will better you and elevate you. Why? Because it's a choice. It's as simple as that. You either choose consciously to walk a path that leads you to where you want to be, or you choose unconsciously to dwell in an area that you don't want to be. And I've been there. I know what it's like. And that's me training and studying this kind of stuff for 25 years. Thinking that no stress could affect me at all. And then I went through a space which was probably one of my darkest ones ever. But now, and again I came back out the other side. And then when you start counting your blessings and start realising what you did get from the situation, suddenly your mind switches into a different way of thinking and a different perspective. And it starts looking in all your information for all the reasons why actually it was a big benefit to you. Why it was brilliant, why it was amazing. And when you can do that, something magical happens. It really does. And everybody's always experienced that magic in some way in their lives, and this confirmation bias. And the classic one, and I've now mentioned before, is about when you would go buy a car. Has anybody ever looked at something in their lives and thought, well, you don't see many of those, I'll have that. And then as soon as you get it, it's bloody everywhere. Yeah? It could be a handbag, it could be a car, whatever it is. Yeah? And it's all to do with this thing called the reticular activating system. It's our Google search engine. Because we've got so much data coming into our brains that our conscious mind cannot process it. So we work on awareness patterns. And that awareness pattern is a choice of what data we want in. So like Google, if you put in Google, I don't want stress, it gives you 333 million pages of stress. It doesn't say the I don't want. So you've got to be clear and very concise with the language that you're saying yourself. You should be focusing on what you want than what you don't want. Because what you want to do is create positive expectation. Because if you expect something without a shadow of a doubt, your mind will seek it out. And it takes practice and it takes effort. So, we are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit.